So I'm going live. I'm live. What's up, Bills fans? It's long overdue. I know I'm like 4 days late, but I wanted to finally get a chance to talk to you all about how you feel about the 2020 draft in totality, how you feel about undrafted free agency or what's been reported. The couple of signings we've had in the last couple of days are just kind of, I don't know, one guy they had in camp, Brian Cox Jr. was funny, so I had to come on. But yep, 2020 draft is in the books. It was much needed for all of our psyches in this current day and age. AJ Epinesa, Zach Moss, Gabriel Davis, Fromm, which was kind of eyebrow raising. Then you had Hodges, Bass, and then Dane Jackson. So it was a depth draft. It was more of I don't want to say best player available, but a draft where hey, we need a kicker. Let's go get a kicker. We want competition there. Let's go get it. Our backup quarterback, let's go get it. Backup running back, or I think a 1B running back, because I think that's what it is. Let's go get it. Depth corner, what's up? What's how you doing? Dane Jackson, does he have to play? No, they can just keep him on the back end of the roster and just let him develop. Fine. Isaiah Hodges, I like that. I like that pick. His drop rate is just insane. He does not drop passes. He's not going to burn you downfield, but he just gets open in that 15 to 20-yard range, and he's just so big and his hands are so short. He just comes down with passes. Gabe Davis might take a little bit more work on his route running, but he's the more physically gifted of the two. Gets separation crazy. He gets on top of DBs and seems to just get space. So he'll be interesting to watch. The reason I like the Diggs pick more so than ever now, the Diggs acquisition, is it lets a guy like Gabe Davis, Hodgins come in. There's no pressure. The weight of the world's not on their shoulders. They're not dragged down. They're not expected to be the end all be all of the offense. They can just come in, learn, acclimate, especially in this climate. And who knows, by mid-season, last quarter of the season, they're contributing on game days. That would be ideal. But the draft overall, it was, again, I think it was a physical draft. They drafted physical players. They drafted guys that I guess kind of missing on last year's roster. When you look at Epinesa, you look at him as a guy instantly. Here's a guy that can replace Trent Murphy and offer you more athleticism. Even though his testing numbers weren't through the roof, I think he plays a lot more fast than Murphy. He's a lot naturally overall more talented. He looks like he's longer. He looks like he has better hand utilization. Same kind of player in terms of effort, but he's younger, he's fresher. He's a guy you can kick inside. He's naturally bigger than Murphy. And if you look at those line combinations that they can roll out now, it's almost like hockey lines on that defensive line. And remember last year, and this is what I mean. This is a no feelings kind of draft. We're not here to this is a fuck your feelings draft in my opinion. Yep, Motor, nice rookie year. We like you, but hey, we like Zach Moss too. Bring him in. And this is what we want, that kind of ruthlessness from a Bills front office, a Bills organization. We just want to win. We don't care whose feelings we hurt. We just want to get the best players on the roster. We like Singletary, but hey, we like this guy too. And whoever's riding the hot hand, who's ever running hot, we're going to run them. And we'll mix the other guy in, whether it's Motor or Moss. Same thing with Epinesa. We brought in all these defensive linemen. We have some decent guys left from last year's roster. We only lost 2 in free agency. But Epinesa, best guy that we have available, let's get him. And he puts Trent Murphy squarely on the chopping block. Saving $8 million for a guy like him, that's a no-brainer. Ultimately, I think they'll keep him to the end of the cut down, and they'll try to move him maybe for something, or they'll release him. So I think that was a win-win. You can't complain about that at all. And potentially he's a guy you can get, optimally in anywhere between 5 to 8 sacks, few forced fumbles, some batted passes. And that's the thing I like about him the most is you always look at defensive ends and they're right there. I remember, for example, he's not a defensive end, but you look at Tremaine Edmonds. He had Baker Mayfield dead to rights in the end zone, ball facing him, and he didn't slap at the ball. He just tackled him for the safety. And I just wondered, like, dude, just slap at the ball, and that's easy. That's a cheap 6 points. That's the game. In hindsight, yeah, but still, but you see it with Epinesa. He's going for the strip. He's knocking the ball out of there. He just has that sixth sense, that natural instinct. He's just knocking the ball out. And if that can cause 4, 5 more turnovers, some batted passes, you're looking at a guy that can really impact the defense. And if you have him, kick him inside, then you have Hughes. You can rotate. You can spot him in practice. Addison, you have Oliver. That's a hell of a defensive line that you have to block on passing downs. That's going to be a problem. Utz says, love how Bean drafts, just smartly dissects best player available, and it happens to be a lot of the times a need, but not necessary, just has a lot of foresight and not just impatient reach picks. Yeah, and you know what I like about him? He humanizes himself. He says, look, I need guys to keep me in check. I want to be aggressive. I want to make trades. I want to be able to go up and make the picks I want, but I need guys to keep me balanced and grounded. Otherwise, I don't want to do something stupid. He says that himself. He also said that Fromm wasn't the highest guy on their board, but he's a quarterback and he's a premium position. What's up, Ronald? How you doing, bro? He's a premium position, so they took him. Now, the guy I think that's going to have the most immediate impact on the active roster is Tyler Bass. If that guy can come in and win the kicking job, if it's even, he wins it. Even if he's slightly behind Hauschka, I think he wins it just based on leg strength. Because I just go by actions. I don't go by speculation. They tried to bring back Chase McLaughlin via waiver claim. After they had released him, McLaughlin got picked up by the 49ers. They released him once Gould was healthy. Colts had waiver claim priority. They got him. Now they bring in Bass. Your kicker has to be able to be a threat past 50, and Hauschka is 1 of 10. They didn't want to kick a 49-yard field goal in a playoff game that could have, I think, potentially won it or tied it. I don't know which situation. I think it was a win or a tie, but it was late with Hauschka because they didn't trust his leg. And it was indoors. That tells you all you need to know right there. Yeah, I mean, you could argue for any one of those guys, or you could say all three. Moss is going to get his touches. Epinesa is going to be in that rotation. There's no pressure. He's behind veterans, and I just think he's a hard worker. He's not going to come in with a big chip on his shoulder in terms of, I'm the man, I'm the guy. I think he's just going to come in, slot in perfectly, and just do what he's always done. I put up some things about him on Twitter. He's just a tireless worker. He's a technician. Models this game after J.J. Watt. And, what better guy to be able to look at than him? He just wins the same kind of way. Length, power, leverage, just tenacity, motor that doesn't stop. He's not going to blow past people off the edge, but he's going to win with his hands and swat at passes. And I was just saying before, you can force 4+ turnovers with forced fumbles. That would be amazing. You could scoop and score. You can get a ball in the red zone. That's huge. That's huge. And I'll say this. I said this in my video that I just uploaded. I feel good about him matching up against any one of those top 4 tackles, even though he wasn't a top 4 tackle, particularly the guy Miami took, because Epinesa won the bowl game MVP off of that kid with a monster performance. Jackson must see him in his nightmares. Utz says definitely need more playmakers on defense. We have a bunch of buddies that think the defense has won a lot of games, and Allen didn't do much, but I'll tell them the defense was good, but they didn't really score. Nah, the defense didn't score. No defensive scores, And you could say the one area that they lacked in was forcing turnovers. That was the one area to really become an elite defense, to just forcing turnovers. That would be huge. Ronald Nick says, look at last season. How many of our draft picks did we have make an impact last year? He says, this is just a good one. What's up, Matt? How you doing, bro? I'm great, man. How's everything? Lots of our draft picks did. You go, Oliver came on, Motor came on, Knox had his moments. The list is long. Even a few of the guy they picked up as a trade, who was an undrafted free agent for Philadelphia, Bates. He came in and played right tackle for the fourth quarter of that Titans game, and he held it down. Damn, that sucks, bro. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Some of us are holding up better than others, but yeah, this is terrible, and it's really demoralizing for a lot of people, and it sucks. I just hope everybody's staying strong, staying positive. And, you guys are always great. I'm glad I can come on and talk to you. It's a privilege always to talk to you guys about the Bills, and, whoever comes on and views, especially, during these times, I really, really appreciate it. But yeah, they've had a lot of guys contribute from their draft class. Even the year prior, undrafted free agency, you had Robert Foster, who's now where's his roster spot at? Levi Wallace came in and kind of saved the day after Vontae Davis quit. Philip Gaines was just terrible. He kind of stabilized the corner. So they've had a history of really getting guys and just really getting guys to contribute. They'll wean them in. They very rarely drop guys into the deep end of the pool. They wean them in. But looking at this roster now, it's going to be a hard roster to make. That's for sure. It's going to be a hard roster to make. And there's still, they're going to make a move. We all know this. We're sitting here. Even Sweeney, Sweeney had his moments last game of the year. Matt says, I hope there's football this fall. I'm going to need it. Yeah, man, I think we're going to get some football. Look, the NFL has been full steam ahead. They haven't backed off of anything. They're going to roll out a schedule May 9th. I even think you'll potentially see guys in the building in June. The way this thing's going, I think they'll be able to get at least a mini camp in or two in June. Just reading the tea leaves. 32 billionaires can't be wrong. Follow the money. These people are still rolling out, season tickets, this and that. I think there's going to be a breakthrough with this thing somewhere. I don't want to talk about this thing much at all, but I think there'll be a breakthrough, and it'll provide a lot of good news and clarity eventually. Bud says, nice to get more deep trackers for Allen. One of the fringe guys, they tried to get deep routes last 2 years. Ronald Nix, bro, I know how it is. Went from me to my wife to 3 kids. Being all here together, it's just me in a matter of a couple of months. Matt Soda, I'm interested to see how McDermott's vision for Vosean Joseph evolved this year. He had last season to sit and watch and soak it all in. Yeah, he was hurt last year. He had a shoulder last game of the year, last preseason game. He hurt his shoulder, and he didn't play. I believe it was against Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, that last preseason game. And he didn't play, and he just basically rehabbed that. And it might have been a tricep. It was either a torn tricep or a shoulder. I'm not sure which. Ronald Nix, just keep your head up and don't ever quit. I'll echo that. Just keep your head up and just keep moving, man. Nothing to fear but fear itself, to be honest with you. Yeah, Ronald Nix, I can't wait to see that kid play. Yeah, he's just I'm a Gator fan, so I've seen a lot of him at Florida. That guy is just a hit stick. That's what I called him. I said, I called him the human hit stick, because he just has no regard for his body. I could just see him being a special teams demon. He just can be a special teams killer. And the other kid, don't discount him either. They got him in undrafted free agency also. They held on to him through the 6-game suspension he had, if you remember. Dotson. They held on to him. The kid, I believe he was a Texas A&M kid, had a better 17 than he did 18. Came out last year. Had the suspension, but I think he's a guy you could look. And then they brought in AJ Klein, so there's your veteran, and you have two young players, and you want them running up and down on special teams all day long. So I think that those two guys could definitely come in and contribute right away. And I think special teams is going to be markedly improved, markedly improved. We saw Bean said that at the end of your presser that he wanted to get more special teams talent. Yep. Yep, that's what I told everybody about the this is the last one of the last things I'll say. When they said, oh, May 1st, I said to everybody, I said, look, this thing's not gonna end May 1st. They're not gonna just let everybody out to play and everything's gonna be over with. Even if they do, they're gonna incrementally take off the restrictions, and then they upped the stay in. So I was like, okay. So that's why I'm not demoralized, because I expected it. I expected it. I'm here in North New Jersey, New York area, so I'm supposedly in the heart of it, right? Yeah. Let's ask, are you okay with the Bills O-lines as it is? Didn't add much this offseason. I'm good with it because they return the starters. They have the depth that they added Williams and Secchi's back, and I think you're going to see Ford start from day one. I think Nsekhe will be a backup only swing tackle, and then you'll have Long as the backup interior guy. So it's essentially the same seven for the game day, and then they'll have a year together. Ford's not a rookie anymore. Feliciano, they'll be healthy. They both had surgeries. I mean, Feliciano played all last year with a torn rotator cuff. Ford hurt midway through the year, and he still played. So I think just that continuity alone is going to help them. And bro, they don't kick off for another 5 months, so they've got 4 months. I'm sorry, they're going to add somebody. They're going to add, like I was just saying, they're going to add a player or two, whether it's a waiver claim, a guy who gets cut. They're going to add a body or two, no doubt. Dank happenings. I like this draft. Felt more to the tune of 2017, where it was conducted by McDermott, and they got guys who were all well-rounded as opposed to athletic freaks that Bean tends to prefer. What says continuity on the O-line is definitely a key. Yeah, these were more. I'll just what Dank happenings just said. Yeah, this was just a worker draft, grunts, guys that are just hard-nosed, tough, physical guys, not sexy, just guys that are that process, that culture, blue collar. And I guess you need that. Having the Moss pick really excited me because he's a guy, he can just really, everybody thinks he's a bigger back, he's just going to run people over. He has that in his arsenal, but he can make people miss. That guy can make people miss. He's nimble. You know who his running style reminds me of? He's just a bigger version, a bigger body, Thurman Thomas. Those light feet, quick, fluid, just gets in and out really fast, hits the hole, makes a cut, and just goes. He's a lot quicker in the open field than people think. He can pull away from people. Matt says this draft was good for me too. We got what we needed, and we upgraded some others. Yeah, they upgraded, but they upgraded in a way that was, again, they didn't rest on their laurels. They didn't just sit there and say, hey, we have Singletary, we have Yeldon, let's just pick up a back in undrafted free agency. Hey, we brought in 4 defensive linemen in free agency with Addison, Jefferson, Butler, and I believe they signed up another. They were like, no, we're gonna invest again. You have Harrison Phillips coming back too. They're like, no, we're adding another body, and they're just ruthless. Just let's go out, assemble the best possible team, the deepest team we can. Because you remember last year, guys, where we were sitting here after games, even though they had won, man, they needed defensive tackle. Oh, man, this sucks. Harrison Phillips' injury sucks. Who can we trade for? Not only is Harrison Phillips going to come back healthy, they added all these guys, and then they used their second-round pick on a guy who many thought was going to be a first-round pick. That's a huge get. So I hope that I hope this guy can really, come in and play well from day one. Matt Soda, I heard someone compare Moss to Travis Henry. I'd take that. Travis Henry sans the legal problems and sans the fumbles. Travis Henry was a fumbler and he had a ton of legal trouble, and which eventually got his way out of the league. I think Travis was a little more physical. I'm not saying Moss isn't physical; he's physical, but he's a lot. He's got a lot of wiggle. He's just not just a big banger. He can move. I would love to see him like Marshawn Lynch-ish. That would be awesome. I would love that. KB, it's been a while since I could make one. Good to see you guys again. You too, man. You too. We're always welcome here. I was telling everybody it's always a privilege to come on and catch any and all of you guys in any time. And we're all gonna just plug along, and we're definitely gonna see football in the fall. I know it. I have it right here that we'll see it. I just get that vibe. So I'm confident. But looking at the draft in totality, coupled with free agency, I think this is going to be, they could have, without the draft, let's just say not one draft pick, they could have rolled out a competitive 46, 48-man roster, whatever the game day roster is now, before that. Now you add Epinesa, Moss, Davis, Hodgins, then, back end guys like, Bass, Fromm, Dane Jackson. You've got the recipe for, pretty damn good team, a really good team, a top 10 team in the league, I think is definitely there, and potentially top 5 if everything falls into place. Yeah, man, I'm glad you like them. I really love doing them. I was trying to get on earlier, but I was having a conversation, and I couldn't end it till I ended it, and finally was able to jump on. But even with the draft class, thoughts on our division foes draft, thank happenings. I'm not gonna lie, the Jets draft looked nice. Big offensive tackle. The one trepidation I would have with that kid, he's very immature. Everything I read about Becton is he's got everything. He's got the size, he's got the athleticism. He's just a stud. Bleacher Report, I'll take 11-5, but I want more. I'm greedy. We never be humble. You want your team to go. For me right now, go 16-0. And we'll just go from there. I want the Bills to win every game they take the field. I know that's not, who says it's not possible? But I would hope that would be the case. I mean, they were damn near in every game last year. I mean, they were, except one starting in mid-third quarter. But the Jets draft was impressive. Becton, again, like I said, physical. You guys know the size, the movement. He's just, the one knock on him is maturity. And I'll say this, you're going to a Jets organization who's not well known for fostering a good environment for young players, and then you're coming here. You're coming here to North New Jersey, NYC, and it's not the kind of place for an immature kid. That's big city life, fast living, and who knows what's going to happen in terms of his practices and stuff. They're not the most veteran team. There's been a lot of turnover on that team, their offensive line. But I did like their draft. The Mims kid I liked, the wide receiver, I definitely liked him. Cameron Clark was a fan of his, offensive lineman. They got Bryce Hall. Have to think he fell because of medicals. Nobody could look at his ankle. Maybe there was other things that we don't know that they know. So yeah, they had a solid draft. I mean, Miami, obviously, you have 3 first-round picks. You're gonna hit something. Tua, Jackson, they got the corner from Auburn with the crazy last name I'm not going to try to hit. They did not take a running back, but they traded for Matt Breida. So I guess they're going to have a punch with Juwan Howard and Breida. So again, that's a whole new team. They've added a lot of free agents, a lot of draft picks. They have a pretty high priority in waiver claims, so they're going to add players there. How are you going to get all those pieces to gel so fast? I don't know. That's their problem. They're our competition, and I hope we stomp him out. I don't care who suits up for him. Matt Soda, some folks crapped on the Bills for taking a kicker, but he gets a better shot at being a starter than anyone else. He could have drafted, yeah, and he can impact the roster. He impacts the roster with field position. He impacts the roster with just being able to stretch a team, knowing that once you're on the 40-yard line, you're in scoring distance, you're in striking distance. And if this kid can make those kicks and show in practice that he can make those kicks, and the coaching staff has confidence that he's good in warmups, that's huge. K Beats Bass had 11 tackles last year. He had 11 tackles. Wow. That's pretty damn good for a kicker. But if you look at our special teams ads, Manikavich, Klein, Bass, you got a bunch of guys that they've added. I mean, you had Bam Johnson running down kickoffs, for Christ's sake. Saran Neal was probably our best special teams player. So they've added a ton. I mean, they brought back Tawan Jones as another guy who can be a gunner. So this team is going to be better. I mean, you say 11-5. I'm looking, in a realistic world, I'm looking for 13-3. That's what I'm looking for next year. I'm looking for 13-3. I'm looking for the division, and I'm looking for a first-round bye. That's my goal. It's time for us as Bills fans, just like the organization, the team. Our goals have to be up here now. They're no longer just get into the playoffs. Let's hope we're in the hunt. No more of that bargain basement bullshit. We're big game hunting now. That's what it should be about from here on out. As long as this regime is here doing what they do, that's the expectations. That's the goal. That's just me. I know everybody wants to take, maybe the humble approach and stuff, but they need to go out and put a flag on the floor too, and show the rest of the league what they're about. But I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at the undrafted free agents yet or know who they are. If not, I'll put a list in the room if you guys would like. But there's a couple of kids on this list I like. I was watching them, and I think they might have a chance to make the 53. Would be nice. Oh, I went over a little bit. I'm sorry. I'll just copy that and paste. You only get so many but for me, that Gilman kid from Toledo, the fullback, 6 blocked kicks in his career. He's a big kid. He's 5'11", 6 foot, 250. Runs at his pro day. Those virtual pro days, he was like a 4.57. Really good athlete. He plays, tight end, fullback, so he's got some flexibility. But to block 6 kicks, he could be another one of those. And that's the way these guys are going to make it. Special teams, backups. I'd really like to see him make it. But the kid, Antonio Williams, undrafted free agent from North Carolina, watch him at the goal line. Watch that kid at the goal line. That kid is 5 yards and in. The Bills would get down there and just put the ball in the end zone. This kid he puts the ball in the end zone. And then Trey Adams, a guy that a lot of people thought would get drafted. I mean, you've seen him as a year ago. You've seen him as a first rounder. Then his injuries caught up to him, didn't work out as well. He didn't have a horrific workout. It just wasn't good. I mean, Orlando Brown had a horrible workout for the Baltimore Ravens, eventually a 3rd-round pick for them. And that guy's been great. Ran a 4.8, a 5.8 40, just was just not good. He pulled a hamstring, didn't finish the drills. I think this kid could be a backup lineman, inactivate him, just develop him. Who knows, man? Yeah. I think he's got ability. And, he's a guy that they can just sit, develop. He's long. He's got length. He's got a ton of experience. He's started almost 50 games. So, and you can't manufacture that type of experience. So I think he's a guy that can make the team. And anytime you can get undrafted free agents to make your team, that's huge. That's less money. That's more controllable player on the cheap. You take that all day long, twice again on Sunday. But the way this roster looks right now, I'm ecstatic. And I just can't wait to see, because like I've said 3 times already, they're going to add somebody. They're going to get a chance to add another guy on this roster, whether it's offense or defense. And the 3 positions I would look for is secondary, cornerback, offensive line, possibly, maybe like another, believe it or not, another defensive lineman. Dan Kaepernick, seeing how good the strength and conditioning staff is, I'm good at taking any. Yeah, I mean, they're the proof is in the pudding, man. They don't put guys in the deep end of the pool. They don't stress guys to get back on the field. They really seem to have a gauge on caring for a player, getting the player back up to speed, and putting him in advantageous positions to not only stay healthy, but if he is injured, to get him healthy and then keep him back out on the field. Matt says, this is random, but I read somewhere that it's possible the NHL return scenario could have Sabres in the playoffs. Yeah, I saw that too. Playing Ottawa or something like that. I don't yeah, I don't know, K Beats. That was just something that was out there. I don't know exactly. It was just something that was out there, and I saw it on Twitter. That's the only way I know that it was even possible. I mean, I think they're trying to do anything to recover revenue. They're trying anything they do to get their people back working again. I don't know. I doubt there'll be fans, but I think they're going to try their best to get something up and running, at least to recoup some TV revenue. Maybe they play Toronto. I probably. I saw New Hampshire was floated as one of the sites to host games. Florida. There was a few others, but again, it's all speculation right now. I think in June we'll start to have more clarity. I think we're going to go through another month of speculation, conjecture, strong opinions, and then June we'll finally start to get some clarity, at least in my opinion. But it seems like from the tenor of the room, everybody liked the draft. It wasn't sexy. It was a blue collar draft. It was a Bills draft in terms of the style of player they got. And I like it because there was times last year, I'm not going to lie, guys, Baltimore Ravens particularly, and the Eagles aren't known as a real physical team, but the Eagles game, some parts of the Browns game, definitely both Patriot games, there was just a lack of physicality. There was a lack of just little bit of edge, little bit of dog, and you saw the kind of players they brought in this offseason with Diggs. Just a dog, nasty, competitive, wants to win, fiery. You got Quentin Jefferson, just mean, nasty, versatile, aggressive, wants to win, plays all over the defensive line. You bring in, Epinesa, nasty, physical, long, powerful guy, just can win in a plethora of ways. Isn't going to blow past you, but he's just going to hand fight you, push, swipe at the ball, get those scrappy sacks, those cleanup sacks. And, there's times I think he plays a lot faster. So I'm not going to take that 40 time into account. I think he plays a lot faster than he times. The same thing with Zach Moss. I think he plays a lot faster than he times. He timed in the 4.6, 4.63 range. I just see that guy as a guy who he plays faster. I think he's 2 ticks faster on the watch in a game than he is running in a straight line in shorts in Indy. And the other thing, we haven't even talked about the wide receivers yet, but my prediction was true. Even without a first-round pick, even with the addition of Diggs, they still drafted 2 wide receivers. I remember coming in here multiple times, pounding the table. I see 2 wide receivers. You had Duke Williams drop 2 critical passes in that playoff game, and then nobody took the bull by the horns. Whether it was Robert Foster, whether it was Duke Williams, and Isaiah McKenzie's a smaller guy, has a different skill set, so I don't really put him in that category. But you bring in Davidson, Hodges now. I mean, I think these 2 guys might be on the roster. Matt Soda, I think the Bills' opponents are going to hate Zach Moss. Well, good, because that means we're going to love him. If they hate him, that means we love him. So let that hate roll through, man. Dan Kaepernick, I also think Tremaine Edmonds is about to take a monumental jump, dark horse pick for Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, you just see and you forget how young he is. A guy that was a 20-year-old rookie, a 20-year-old rookie. I mean, his father, Pharrell Edmonds, played tight end with Miami. He's got 2 other brothers in the league. So football is just in his man. That's crazy. And you know, he's 22. He's not even a man yet. He's not even a man yet. And you look at that guy. That guy. It's just going to happen. Like you said, it's just going to all of a sudden boom. And you notice what they started doing with him? They started rushing him off the edge. They started blitzing him through the A and B gaps. They started doing a lot of crazy stuff with him last year. They weren't doing it when he was a rookie. What's up, Los? How you doing, bro? There are rumors that they had a trade in place to move up, maybe for Chase Claypool. No, that was in the 3rd round. The trade up was for Moss. They admitted it was for Moss. It didn't manifest, and then Moss ended up falling to them, luckily, so they didn't have to make a trade. There was also a trade that they said that they had worked out. I believe it might have been in the 5th or 6th. And the offensive lineman, I think it was a guy named the Kentucky lineman, Stenbaugh or something like that. I think that was the lineman. And then somebody, I think it was the Lions, ended up taking him. But I think they had a trade worked out with, I think it was Denver or somebody like that. But he said it was for a guard. Yeah, Matt, I didn't see Jake Fromm at all, but the way they describe him is he's a play. You know, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't a fan of the pick. I wasn't sitting here pounding. You know what? We're all Bills fans. We all want the team to do well. The second the guy is a Bills player, he puts on the jersey, we're going to root for him. That doesn't mean you can't be critical and not like the pick and question. That doesn't make you any less of a fan, in my opinion. I was a little questionable about it, and then trying to look at it from their point of view, Barkley did not play well last year. He didn't play well in the Patriots game. He didn't play well, particularly well at the end against the Jets. He fumbled a few times. He threw a few interceptions. He's not known as the strongest arm guy. And I think Allen is past this babying point where he doesn't need to be babied. He doesn't need a veteran behind his shoulder on the sidelines, but apparently this kid is like that. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He's like, they say, he's like a well of football, just boom, 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 eats, lives, and breathes it. Allen's got 2 quarterback coaches who are backups in this league, and Ken Dorsey and Jordan Palmer. One he works with in the offseason privately, the other he has as a coach. Daboll, he's been in his system 3 years. I think Allen is fine. I don't think he needs a veteran clipboard holder anymore, to be honest with you. Matt, I mean, we all questioned when they drafted Allen. None of us wanted him yet. We did. But, you saw the talent. Allen at least was like, look at the arm, look at the size. We didn't know he could move as well as he did, but we saw the talent. Fromm just does not have the physical skills that Allen does. He doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the arm. He just, just has no – just doesn't. So, but hopefully, it works out. Hopefully it works out. We'll all be rooting for him. Bills Mafia Rob, so many picks fell into Buffalo Bills lap. The national grades, lowest I saw was a B+, so good value. Yeah, I even saw Pro Football Focus, who's normally very critical of the Bills. They had him at an A-, and I think it all starts with the Epinesa pick. Epinesa was graded as anywhere from 20 to like 35. They got him at 54. Zach Moss, I saw one guy had him. I think it was one person, believe it or not, one guy had him as the best back in the draft. And they had him, I've seen him no lower as like the 5th. And they got him, was it near the back end of the 3rd round. So that's pretty damn good value. Matt Soda, Harrison Phillips coming back is going to help the D-line. I think he's, and you don't have to rush him back now either. That's the great thing. He could just come back. He can slowly work his way back in. You don't have to rush him back. Like I said before, remember we were just all like, oh my God, we need 1 D tackle. We need 1 D tackle. This regime, and that's what I like, is they saw that too. They were sitting there up in the box looking at it. You know what? We need more defensive line depth, guys. I don't know about you, but our defensive line, we thought it was good. We need more. They lose Jordan, Phillips. They lose Shaq. They went out and got 5 defensive linemen. They went out and got 5. You know, they got Butler, they got Jefferson, they've got Addison. You know, you get Harrison Phillips back, you get in Epinesa, you bring in, you know, Brian Cox Jr. today. I listened to the press conference, the conference call he had. He said he was weighing around 259, 260, lightest he's been in a while. Maybe he takes over that Shaq Lawson role. Maybe he can make the 53. He has history with Eric Washington. Andrew O'Leary. I'm a Vikings fan, but you randomly suggested I watched your stream. I love your calm, collected approach talking about the league. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. It's actually I actually know a Viking fan very, very well. The kid he has the Viking logo on his shoulder, but it's a woman. It's a female. I actually told him to send it to them. He might get something for it. Yeah, I'm not a ranter and raver. We have a lot in common. You guys had the 70s where the Super Bowl losses, the missing rings, and then the Bills had the 90s with the 4 straight. So, you know, I always hope that, you know, our organizations can eventually hoist the trophy and take down, you know, teams like Green Bay, the Patriots, the teams that have, you know, all those trophies, and they constantly hold them over our heads. I hate that stuff, but I appreciate that. Thank you. K Beats, Allen started how many games? He's fine now. Doesn't need, yeah, K Beats. He doesn't. Not that I'm against it, but not necessary. Welcome, Andrew. K Beats. Welcome though. Yep. See, we're all cool here. Dank is you know, welcoming you here. Thanks for Stephon Diggs. I don't know what that feel. You know, the Bills have been giving away good players forever. Jason Peters went on to have pretty much a Hall of Fame career for Philadelphia. Saw Marshawn Lynch probably have a Hall of Fame career for Seattle. So, man, Bill's just been handing away good players for a long time. Thanks, fellas. You got a real talent with Diggs. Not sure if I believe all the talk about him being a locker room issue. He just is a big personality. Yeah, bro, all these wide receivers have big personalities. Some more so than others. I think Diggs is a dog. See, the opposite of that to me is a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. is a dog. I think he's a front runner. Now I don't like him, but Jarvis Landry's a dog. And I don't like him at all, but I'll say he's a dog. He's competitive. He's a gamer. He's tough. I think Diggs is a competitive, fiery, hungry dog. Guy's a 5th-round pick, and he's arguably a top 10 receiver in the league. What's up, Damager? How you doing, bro? We traded Marshawn for who? We traded him for a 4th-round pick, K-Beats, to Seattle after the 4th game of 2010. That's what we traded Marshawn Lynch for. Bills Mafia, if Brandon gives us a ring, I would say this is the dude that traded it up twice in the 1st round to give us our franchise offensive and defensive player. It's pretty much. Who was the 4th-round pick that they ended up getting? I think it was a running back named Johnny White, and you can actually look that up, and that was a real player that played for the Bills. He did nothing for them. He made the 53, I remember, in 2011, but he did nothing. I think he played special teams. He was just a guy. But they traded Marshawn Lynch for eventually who was that player. They traded they actually got a 1st and a 2nd, believe it or not, for Jason Peters, which is a lot to the Eagles. They got I believe they got Eric Wood, and then they got Levitre with the other pick in the 2nd round. So they turned it into 2 linemen who were good, but one retired short with the neck. Levitre recently retired too, but Jason Peters is a Hall of Fame player, man. That's just, you know, he was an undrafted tight end for the Bills in 2004. Dank Happenings. Oh, shit, Johnny White. I haven't heard that name in forever. Yeah, he was there 1 year and he was gone. He's just a guy. How you feel about how you feeling if Brian Cox? I mean, if the kid comes in and gets a job and Eric Washington has familiarity with him, he's a Bill. I mean, no hard feelings. Let's roll. Let's go out and play games, man. I want some dogs. We needed dogs on this team. We need some nasty pricks We needed pricks on this team. We had a lot of good guys, hard workers that would fight during games, but we needed some pricks. Andre Reed was a prick. Andre Reed was a dog. Jim was a dog and a prick. Thurman was definitely a prick, but he was a dog too. Daryl was, he was tough. Daryl Talley was just tough. Bruce was a prick, but he was, Jesus Christ, top 3-5 defensive player all time, like easy, ridiculous. Bills Mafia, let me see. Matt Soda, there was some bad drafts before. Oh, God, they weren't bad. They were horrific. Yeah, we drafted Chris Hairston. Oh, Chris Hairston. At least he played a little bit. But I know Johnny White was in that draft. Lynch, Watkins, Gilmore, Wood. Fuck, man, that hurts. Yep. Trent Murphy cut. They save $8 million. You want Trent Murphy getting snaps over Epinesa, Jefferson, Butler, Addison, Hughes, Bam Johnson. Maybe Mike Love comes back and is okay. I'm not sure. Leonard Smith was, the Hitman, Leonard Smith, number 46, the Hitman. My favorite two Bills all time, Andre Reed. And defensively, Daryl was just glue. He held those teams together. He was just like been there for the longest, was through the losing from 80, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, and then it all came together. So Daryl was just a glue guy. Murphy was actually he was good. He had a couple of good games, but at that price tag, I just don't think it's fiscally responsible, Neil. I just think you have to start thinking about, maybe a guy gets cut from another team and you need that money to get him on a 1 year or at least a little bit of it. I think you got to take it, and I just don't want him getting snaps over the younger guys. That's just me, man. Bills Mafia, Rob. Favorite Bills, Bruce Smith, Tre'Davious White, Kyle Williams. It'd be hard not to say. K Beats, Tank Carter, Chris Hairston. Oh, so we got two players. Was it Justin? I hope it wasn't Justin Rogers, was it? Oh. Because he was right around that same time frame. I think he was in 2012, but I'm not sure. Luke Pattison, so excited about the 2020 season. Do you think we'll have a better record than last year? Tougher schedule? I mean, this team right now, I said I want 13-3. I'm gunning for 13-3 in the division. That's what I want. This team was 10-6 last year. They gave away the last game. The other 5 losses, sans won. They were in all those games, 1-score games, 1-possession game, right down to the last minute. I want 13-3, and I want the division. I said that our expectations need to be here now. They're not about just getting into the playoffs. They're about getting into the playoffs and making a lot of noise. And being able to host a playoff game. That's what I want. That's what we should all want, in my opinion. Mafia Rob, I'm thinking 11-5 or 12-4, maybe. Again, it all depends. It all depends on, you need things to go your way a little bit. But I think this team needs to get up in scoring. If their defense is right at around where it was last year, there's no reason to think it's going to fall off. They're returning everybody, and in some cases, they got better. I think they're going to be better at forcing turnovers. That's one place I think Norman helps. I think Josh Norman is a better turnover corner than Kevin Johnson or Levi Wallace. I think they'll force more turnovers, especially with Epinesa. We haven't even talked about Ed Oliver coming into his second year. That guy's all-world talent. Again, I think this defense could maybe even be better. And if the offense gets into the top 15, and if they get into the top 10, if they become a top 15, top 10 offensive team, then I think you're looking at 12-4, 13-3, easily. K Beats, stay healthy, and I'm thinking 12-4 and a bye. K Beats, yeah, Oliver showed a lot in the second half, and he's got a whole off season to just chill, be a pro. So I think that they could definitely knock on that door. I'm greedy. I want 16-0, but I'm greedy. Maybe that's unrealistic. Every time this team takes the field, I want them to win. I want them to win. And losses are devastating, and I just won't accept them. We've seen too much losing, guys. Too much losing. Dank Happenings rewatched the Houston playoff game. Oliver was a monster all game. Yeah, I don't think he got any sacks, but he was making a lot of noise in there. It would have been nice in a game like that to have in Mario Addison, to have an AJ Epinesa, to have, a healthy Jerry Hughes, Harrison Phillips. Now you have that. Quentin Jefferson. You can just roll those linemen through fresh, like a hockey line. Just rotate them in and out. 8-8, and I'm crying. 8-8, and that's just unacceptable. I can't even fathom that. I can't even fathom that, and I won't. Those days need to just be forgotten. Yeah, he's again, and you forget about him. You almost forget about him because it's Allen now, Stephon Diggs, Singletary, and John Brown and Beasley are your second and third receivers. What about Dawson Knox? What kind of step does he take? Does he go up all of a sudden, become one of those tight ends like George Kittle? One of those types, like in between. Maybe he's Zach Ertz-ish type. Maybe he gets to he has one of those Tyler Eifert years. I hope that's the case, because he's physical as hell. You've seen some George Kittle-like stuff with the stiff arms, the run after catch, the athleticism. I think he's just as good an athlete, if not more. Yeah, just catch the easy ones. He would catch the hard ones, which was unbelievable. Like the one against the Patriots, and then the one going down the right sideline against the Ravens over Clark. Just catch the easy ones. You'll be fine, man. Luke Pattison got to win the East, need a home playoff game. Yeah, that would be great, and that's what you need. Reward the fans that have been with you for so long with a home playoff game. I don't think now. I think that should be the goal. That should be the goal. They did it themselves. Remember the playoff caliber thing? They changed it to championship caliber. So what does that tell you? That you should want that. Bills Mafia Rob, Dawson Knox could be a Zach Ertz type, which would be fun. Hell yeah, because we've never had that. Closest thing we had to that, I mean, athleticism-wise, Keith McKellar. Jay Remersma was not a great athlete. He was really good at catching the ball. Pete Metzelaars was a big guy. He could run a little bit, but he was not an elite athlete. So we've really never had. I mean, we've had guys that were athletes at tight end. They didn't turn out to be good. Bobby Collins, I remember, was a good athlete, but not great. Sean Nelson, really good athlete, but he didn't turn out to be great. Because of concussions, he just basically retired. But I just want to thank everybody for coming on. Hope, again, we have a long way to go. 4 months till the season starts. Matt, stay strong, stay positive. You're all good dudes. Damager, Phillips, Milano, Edmonds, other guys not getting talked about a lot. And our prime. Yep, they're prime. And Milano's amazing. Matt Milano is such an underrated player. He's so underrated. Matt Soto, Pete Metzelaars he had an elite mullet, that's for sure. Ray Bentley had an elite mullet. Go look at Ray Bentley's mullet, Soto. But, I think, again, 4 months is a lifetime. 4 months is a lifetime in life, let alone in the football world, and that's how long we have till the season kicks off. So, again, I think we'll have a month of, fogginess. But I think once June hits, we'll have some clarity with this whole thing, guys, and it'll be positive. I'm pretty sure of it. Thank you all so much for coming in. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sorry I was late with the draft review. I wanted to come do a live one, be more fun than just doing a record. I wanted to do a record, and I wanted to do a live in the same day. So I'm glad I was able to do that. Thanks, Luke, Matt, Neil. Do you think training camp will start on time? I don't know if it'll start on time, but I think they'll definitely have something in August. If there's some clarity in June, I think they'll get in. I'll think they'll get in there before June. Not before, during June, because they'll want to say we don't want guys injured, we don't want guys hurt, we're not going to have media here or nothing. We'll do just conference call media, but let's get the guys on the field. It's better than having them in gyms all spread around the country. We know what environment they're in, sanitary and controlled. All this, all the kind of stuff that they'll sell. You know how it is. Dank happenings. I think they will have a shortened preseason. It's possible. It's possible they have 3. I wouldn't mind that at all. But I definitely think, they're ready to roll out a schedule in a little over a week. Again, they're 32 billionaires. I think they have their ear to the ground with some of this stuff. That's just my humble opinion. Hell, do 2 games for all I care. Yeah, I mean, preseason is tough, but those 2 games, 3 games, that's the most they should have. Damager, on side note, I still get a recommendation almost every day on you. Liddell and Couture won, I think, 13 years ago. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. That was it? It had to be 2 because I think they lost. Couture lost the second one. Matt will always said, I think the preseason is misleading every day. Yeah. But some guys, you never know. They need it. That's a callback, probably 2. Yeah, it's probably 2. All right, guys. Have a great night. Take care. Love you all. Appreciate it. And go Bills. You find me on Twitter, same Vicious155. I'm always bullshitting on there. So, feel free to hit me up there, wherever. So, peace, guys. Love you all. Go Bills.